Hello, you're joining us here at CGTN's live stream of the Flower War going on right now in Greece in a town called Galaxidi. My name is Bryan Pirolli with CGTN, and you're joining us here across one of our platforms, on our CGTN's app, maybe on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, Twitter, and Weibo. And what you're looking at currently are the festivities happening in Greece on a very beautiful sunny day, where participants, tourists, and locals alike are throwing colored flour at our poor cameraman to celebrate the end of the carnival season for the Orthodox Church. So actually this day marks the beginning of Lent in the Greek Orthodox calendar. Which means for the next 40 days leading up to Easter, there will be fasting and spiritual cleansing going on for the Greek people. But today in Galaxidi, it's all about the party. So here you have children and families, locals and tourists, as I said, pelting each other with this flour. That's the baking flour, which you would use for making bread. That's colored with various food dyes and pigments to create this sort of magical experience. You see people there dressed up in different costumes, but the smarter and wiser of the people perhaps are wearing their onesies to protect them from the colored flour, which inevitably they'll find it in their hair later, I'm sure. So this is a tradition here in Galaxidi, Greece, that dates back to the early 19th century. Of course, like many of these sorts of traditions, there's not one surefire story about where it began, but the locals say that it was, in fact, born as Oh, sorry, we just got a comment from Rian Silagan who asked if this is a tradition, and yes, it is actually, Rian. As I'm going to explain, in the early 19th century, this part of Greece was actually part of the Ottoman Empire, and the Ottoman Empire did not appreciate the fact and actually did not allow the Greeks to celebrate Carnival. But the people of Galaxidi, back in the early 1800s, they seemed to not care so much, and so they adorned themselves and covered their faces with all sorts of ash and soot and went out to the street and danced in defiance of the Ottomans. And so actually this has been going on for almost 200 years now, where the people of Galaxidi go out and celebrate this sort of act of defiance against the Ottoman Empire. So yes, it's a tradition that people respect, but that not everybody wants to participate in. You can see there on the video, there are people in the so-called safe zone, sort of the area where you know you won't get pelted with flour, for the people who don't want to necessarily get dirty, but who just want to enjoy watching the experience from afar. But of course the real fun looks like it's happening in the streets in this little seaside town. Galaxidi is usually a very sleepy town with only about 2,000 permanent residents, but as you can imagine on this day, the population swells because people want to come and enjoy the party. So they will throw this colored flour at each other for the next few hours until none is left, so the party could potentially go well into the night. And it tends to be a very family-friendly event as well. So Galaxidi is a small town that made a name for itself in the shipping industry. It was one of the most luxurious and most profitable ports in Greece because of its sailing industry. Unfortunately, during the 19th century, the town it sort of lost its luster when it didn't develop steamboats like the rest of the world did, and it tended to fall behind. Today, as you can see, the town makes most of its money and most of its income off of tourism, and this event is definitely one of the highlights for tourists coming to Galaxidi. The town is only about 3 hours from Athens by car. That's roughly about 200 kilometers, and it's located at the foot of Mount Parnassus. Usually the town is overlooked for people who are going to other sites like the nearby town of Delphi. But on today, the end of Carnival and the beginning of Eastern Orthodox Lent, it's all about Galaxidi. You can see there are people already covered. The event only started just a few moments ago, but people are in full swing. So again, if you're just joining us, I'm Bryan Pirolli with CGTN, and we're having a look at the Flower Wars in Galaxidi, Greece, where the locals and tourists are currently ending the carnival season in Greece. You can watch this live feed on the CGTN app, on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitter, and our Weibo page. So it's ironic that this day, sort of the first day of the Lent season in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, is actually called Clean Monday. And as you can see, this is definitely the least tidy day in Galaxidi's calendar, I'm sure. Many locals and store owners actually cover their shops and houses with plastic to prevent the colored flour from getting all over the place. Although I'm sure a little mess is inevitable. You've got traditional cowbells, people in costume riding cars and floats through the city. This is a day-long festival that will see the entire city covered in baking flour, covered in all different pigments. So if you've ever traveled around the world or seen similar festivals, there is a festival in India that also uses colored powder like this, the Holi Festival. If you're an athlete, you might also have noticed the race series called the Color Run, where similar powders are used to celebrate. So this sort of festival isn't something that happens only in Greece, but at this time of year to end Carnival and to begin Lent, this is definitely probably one of the most unique ways to celebrate the festival. There across the water you see the people who probably forgot their onesies and their face masks, who are just watching from afar in the safe zone. Galaxidi is a famous day trip or weekend trip from Athens, and over the years many wealthy Athenians have come to Galaxidi to buy houses and renovate them. So it's a pretty fashionable place to be. Although today you might not know it, looking at the colored flour that's covering the city. So again, this is a festival that celebrates the local people of Galaxidi. Oh, yes, the people's resistance against the Ottoman Empire, who told them back in the 19th century that they couldn't celebrate Carnival. And the people of Galaxidi said, no, that's not going to happen, and they celebrated anyway. Today, of course, Greece is independent of the Ottoman Empire after a war in the mid-19th century, but the festival remained a popular tradition that happens every year on what is called Clean Monday. It's the beginning of the Lent season in Eastern Orthodox Christianity. So between now and 40 days from now, which will be Eastern Orthodox Easter, religious people will fast and repent for their sins and atone in preparation for the Easter holiday. But today, on Clean Monday, it's all about the mess. It's all about the fun, and it's all about Greece's biggest color battle. So again, if you're just joining us, I'm Bryan Pirolli with CGTN, and we are live streaming an event in Galaxidi, Greece, which is a celebration of the beginning of the Lent season in the Eastern Orthodox Church. And the way we celebrate that here in Greece is by pelting each other with colored flour. Baking flour, of course, not the plants. And locals and tourists alike come out with bags of colored flour that they get from local shopkeepers. They come out in droves. and they cover the city in the pigment. So Gal Gonfur Andreas just asked where this place is, and actually we are in Greece right now. So the town is called Galaxidi, and it's just northwest of Athens in Greece, in southern Europe, on the Mediterranean. Actually, it is a seaside town, and it is in between a mountain called Mount Parnassus, and it is situated on the Gulf of Corinth. So we're in Greece, in southern Europe, where it is currently about 20 degrees Celsius, almost 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The perfect day to go out and pelt your neighbors with colored flour. You can see children and families having a good time. It's a very fun, festive event. See, some people don't bother covering up to keep clean. Some locals say it's actually better just to wear some old clothes because it gives you a more authentic experience just to get dirty and to get covered in the colored flour. As you can see, these people are not shy. So the event started around lunchtime in Greece, just after lunchtime actually, when the Greeks came out, the people of Galaxidi, to parade around the city, to throw bags of colored flour all over each other, and to celebrate the end of Carnival in Greece. Joseph Sherry just shared one of our social networks that is just like the Holi Festival in India, and that is correct. Of course, it's a bit newer than the festival in India and Nepal, which dates back quite a few centuries. But this event started in the 19th century, has been happening every year since they say around the 1801, 1802. Of course, its origins are always shrouded in mystery. No one's exactly sure why it started. But locals say that this act of defiance against the Ottoman Empire's decision to ban carnival events is celebrated by this event today to remember those people who went out, covered their face in charcoal and ash, and danced in the street anyway. Now, the country of Greece, of course, has been suffering from quite a bit of financial setback and a debt crisis in recent years. So it's actually quite exciting to see that their festive spirit has not wavered, despite all those hardships, and that the Greeks still know how to have fun. Now, what you're looking at here is people in the quote-unquote combat zone. There are visitors on the periphery of the city, on the other side of the harbor maybe, who are watching from afar, who are not getting quite as dirty. So there will be some people in Galaxidi later, not covered in colored flour. But these people in the combat zone seem like they're having much more fun. This is such a big event that tour planners actually prepare packages for tourists who want to come experience this event. There's even an Airbnb experience from Athens where you can join a local guide who will take you to Galaxidi to participate in this event. It's a huge draw for tourists and locals alike. There you see people dressed in costumes, people dressed in plain clothes, other people dressed in sort of cloth onesies and goggles that they may have purchased from local shops. to prevent their clothes from getting too dirty, although they don't seem to be too effective. After joining us, just want to update you. I'm Bryan Pirolli from CGTN, and we are watching a live stream of the Flower Wars in Galaxidi in Greece, in southern Europe. This is an annual festivity to celebrate the end of the carnival season.